Yields back. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Mississippi, General Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start, an alliance is much different than a friendship. A marriage is much different than being a brother or a blood family member of someone. My brother and I had some knockdown dragouts. I won't say on the air that he won any of those. He was a big, tough man. But you know what? We never
Ladies and gentlemen, this right here is exactly the kind of moment that should wake every single American up. Because what you're about to see isn't just another hearing. This is about national security, global threats, and whether the people in charge are being fully honest with the American people. And let me tell you, when you listen closely, something doesn't sit right. So in this clip, we've got Trent Kelly pressing a U.S. military official during a congressional hearing. The topic? Iran's military capabilities. Whether they have the ability to escalate conflict, and what kind of threat they actually pose. Now, these are not small questions. These are the kinds of questions that determine whether Americans are safe, whether our troops are at risk, and whether leadership is being proactive or reactive. Now watch carefully how this unfolds, because Congressman Kelly isn't playing games here. He's asking direct, serious questions. The kind of questions Americans want answered. But what do we get in response? Careful wording, measured answers, and at times, what feels like hesitation. And look, I get it. Military officials have to be cautious. But here's the problem. When it comes to something as serious as Iran's capabilities, the American people deserve clarity.
Yields back. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Mississippi, General Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start, an alliance is much different than a friendship. A marriage is much different than being a brother or a blood family member of someone. My brother and I had some knockdown dragouts. I won't say on the air that he won any of those. He was a big, tough man. But you know what? We never doubted, not 1 second, that if someone else got on one of the Kelly boys, both of the Kelly boys would be on them. That's what an alliance is. It doesn't mean you get your feelings hurt and then we won't be there to help you. An alliance is a bond in blood, built in European campaigns in World War II. And I think our allies need to hear, and I think our president means it. I don't care what his words, he may fuss with his brothers, but at the end of the day, if another guy jumps on one of our brothers, I promise you we will be there for the fight. And I think that all this other stuff, I think our allies need to understand we will be there if there's a fight, and we will do our duty. With that being said, is Europe, and I don't really want to talk about Iran, but I have to talk about, did the Russians, how long did it take them to establish air superiority and to take out the ability of Ukraine to strike into Russia? Because to my understanding, they still have not. Is that correct?
That's correct, Congressman.
Okay. Is Europe safer today, with the exception of Turkey, which borders Iran? Is Europe safer today because we took out all ballistic missile capabilities and all air defenses in Iran, or the majority of air defenses? Is Europe safer today, and does Iran have the same ability to strike Iran as it does his strike Europe as it does his Arab neighbors?
Congressman, Iran no longer has the same ability to strike Europe and hold it at risk with their ballistic missile force.
And Iran has struck many of its Arab neighbors, many of its surrounding states, including Turkey, which is in Europe, but they have struck them. Do you think, what would make someone think that they would not strike Europe if they had the capability to do so right now?
Congressman, as commander of European Command, I am watching that very closely. I think they do have the intent to potentially strike Europe, particularly some of our activities in the Eastern Mediterranean.
That being said, Russia's war in Ukraine has reshaped security environment in Europe. Thanks to President Trump's leadership, NATO allies are increasing defense spending in response. The key question now is how quickly those investments can translate into real capacity. Therefore, I look forward to hearing that. General, as Russia continues to expand its military presence in the Arctic and China seeks greater access to Arctic routes, the strategic importance of the High North continues to grow. The United States currently operates far fewer icebreakers than Russia, while several of our NATO allies, including Finland, Sweden, and Canada, maintain significant icebreaking capability. How can the United States better integrate allied icebreaking capacity and Arctic infrastructure into NATO's broader defense posture in the high north?
Hey, Congressman, thanks. The Arctic is incredibly important, as you highlighted. It is one of the strategic approaches to the United States and to Northern Europe, and it's an area where the alliance does focus and needs to continue focusing. On the specifics of the icebreakers, I was in Finland and Sweden recently, chose to go in the winter just so I could see some of those incredible capabilities that they bring to bear, and we are integrating them to operations such as Arctic Sentry as we work together in the high north. And then I just highlight, I think the Finns are helping us out with some of the icebreaker acquisitions that are being worked, not in the Department of Defense, but I think that's going to be a game changer for us as well.
Absolutely. I also want to talk about long-range strike and bomber task force deployments, and they're increasingly important in NATO and the defense of NATO. What do you see our current aerial refueling capacity in the European theater to include airfields or platforms to launch those refuelers from?
Congressman, I think it's well known that you can never have enough air refueling aircraft, and they're constantly in demand. They're in demand in Europe. They're clearly in demand in the Indo-Pacific as well. We are fortunate to have the infrastructure to base them in Europe, but knowing that they will be a force that's needed no matter where the United States is projecting power, we can never have enough of them.
And I just want to double tap that. Right now we have a floor of how many refuelers we should have. That number needs to be increased. That is the floor. That is the bare minimum without accepting unacceptable risk to our armed forces. So I would just really ask all of our commands to push up to say, we do not have the refueling capacity that is required should we get into a full-scale war, especially if we get into. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Not confusion. This is exactly why so many Americans are frustrated right now, because we live in a country where transparency is supposed to matter, leadership is supposed to be accountable, and national security should never be vague. But instead, what we're seeing more and more is uncertainty, carefully managed narratives, and answers that don't fully answer the question. And that's dangerous, because when the truth isn't clear, people start losing trust. Let's break this down. When a congressman is asking, does Iran have the capability to? That's not a trick question. That's a yes or no reality question. And when the answer isn't crystal clear, it raises serious concerns. Are we underestimating the threat? Are we being shielded from the full picture? Or is leadership unsure of the situation? None of those options should make anyone comfortable. Now, I'm going to say something that a lot of people are thinking. If Iran poses a real and growing threat, then the American people need to know. Not later. Not filtered, not softened. Right now. Because history has shown us what happens when threats are ignored, underestimated, or miscommunicated. And this moment right here in the hearing, this is where it all comes together. You've got a congressman pushing for clarity. You've got a military official being cautious. And right in between that, you've got uncertainty. And uncertainty in national security. That's not something you brush off. Bigger picture. This isn't just about Iran. This is about a bigger issue. Are we getting the full truth from leadership? Are threats being communicated honestly? And is America being put in the strongest position possible? Because if the answers to those questions are unclear, that's a problem. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think we're being told the full truth about global threats? Do you trust what's coming out of these hearings? Or do you think there's more going on behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you believe in strong leadership, transparency, and putting America first, make sure you subscribe, because we're going to keep breaking this down and bringing you what others won't.